Hi, Angelo John Lewis here for the Sacred Inclusion Network. And if you'd like to know more about us, please visit our website, sacredinclusion.com, or see our YouTube or various places where you access things like this. Today, I'm so delighted to talk to my friend and colleague, Lewis Brown Griggs. And Lewis is going to be doing an event for us on the subject of impermanence, of which he is somewhat of an expert, not necessarily voluntarily. He didn't necessarily volunteer for this title, but um, one of the things I'll tell you about Lewis, and there's a lot, so it would take a whole 1 hour to talk about his background, but I'll tell you a couple of things. He's survived three near-death experiences, and you can listen to them by listening to his TEDx talk, The Gift of Near Death, in which he documents these experiences and his subsequent
First two.
two.
The,
Okay,
the,
sorry.
the, no, that one documents the first two. The third one I've had since then.
Okay, right. It talks about his subsequent spiritual transformation, at least on one of them, or two of them, or three of them. I'm not even sure. But after his first one, he returned to life with a mission to helping others deepen their connection with their inner selves and their communities in which they serve. Prior to that, he's well known for being actually a designated, it's giving an award as the Legend of Diversity. He's produced 23 training videos, created national training events, and more recently, he produced the first National Energy Conference. I don't know what that is. He's also a certified professional coactive leadership coach, father of two, and stepfather of two, and he lives with his wife, Joanna Egan, in Berkeley, California. Lewis, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Angelo. It's a pleasure to be with you, as it has been every time we've met in the past. What is it, only 10 years now, or is it 15 or something? Who knows?
I don't know. I'm terrible at keeping track of these things.
Exactly.
Now, you've survived three near-death experiences, or two, well, three really. Take us
Yeah.
back to the first one. Tell us what happened, and tell us what was going through your mind at that moment. What happened?
Sure. Well, what was going through my mind, I had just moved here from Boston, where I grew up in Minnesota. I went to college in New England. I worked in DC. I worked in Boston. I drove across the country in love. I worked at public television here in San Francisco. And at still 29, I didn't know what I wanted to do when I grew up. And as we've all heard, for male brains, they don't get fully reintegrated until about late 20s, right? And so I literally had been very successful in four jobs and thought, I just still don't know what I want to do when I really grow up. And at that moment and day, when I was driving in Berkeley, my car got totaled by somebody coming through a stop sign I mean, through a stop spot that did not yet have a stop sign, even though it now does because of no accident. And that was long ago. That was March 11, 77. Okay.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. And yet it was life changing. And I was taken, as you've heard, through many near death experience people, through the tunnel. We call it the tunnel of, and all the way to the other end at high speed until I get there almost immediately into the only thing I can call it in language that's never enough is pure light and the source of all energy, all light, all consciousness, all knowledge, all love, and the source from which we all come. And those words to me mean I believe in soul, and I believe I've lived in other lives. And I have experiences actually of being in three other lives, one with my current daughter, my current wife, and my prior wife. There we go. And but to come to the point of this moment, which gave me all that awareness, consciousness, choose whichever word works for you, I literally experienced myself before a voice spoke to me. On my own cell's awareness, I experienced being in the source from which we all come and of which we're all one. And I got on my own from that if we've lived in prior lives and we have energy, call it soul, spirit, whatever you want, essence, and we come from this same energy field, then that defines our oneness. And again, on my own, I got, wow, that means we're simultaneously one and uniquely different as our soul lands in the only DNA that's ever existed in the history of life on Earth. Every single one of us. So far, they haven't copied Angelo or Lewis. Yes, we have a lot in common, and yes, we have a lot that's different. So we're simultaneously, with no conflict between these concepts, oneness and uniqueness. Wow, that just broke me open that I had never experienced with all the normal, no judgment, normal human comfort with people that look just like us, bias against people who look strange, like I look to you and you look to me on the surface before we go further. You know, that just go back. That's what tribes were like. We had to go, wow, you're not my tribe. So no shame about the natural primal part of that. However, just noticing that with no shame and noticing that we don't need it. Yes, we need to notice if the other person is not safe by how they're manipulating us or they're dangerous or energy or whatever. That's a very healthy thing to notice. But to feel the bias we feel just because, oh, I've never met anyone who looks like you. This broke me immediately from the past. Look at the book over my shoulder, the most amazing book this boy has ever read. Because in this body, I'm a 14 generation, 100% Anglo-Scot. 14 generations of making sure you only sleep with another Anglo-Scot, not just white. Yeah, right. And oh, when I read that book after recovering from my third near death, I went, oh my God, thank you. I'm free. But back in the light, I had already discovered I'm free of that because you and I and all of us listening or watching are all one and uniquely different. And therefore, instead of being afraid of the differences, I got right away, I can learn from the differences. Because when I speak, all I'm sharing is what I already know. When I listen to you, all I'm doing is learning.
Mm.
And then you can even go, fine, take what I can use and leave the rest. We don't have to take in everything that the other person brings. You don't have to dress like this, and I don't have to dress like that, or whatever, just to smile. But wow, the learnings I can get from just hearing instead of speaking. And then I heard a voice, which you would think would have happened first, but this voice said, Lewis, we want to make it clear that you are called here to have this conversation and to be sent back because you're not doing your work.
Mm.
And I went, okay, what's my work? And the question was, well, what is it that keeps you from being, not doing? This privileged yuppie wasp was able to do whatever I wanted. What keeps you from being all you're capable of being? I hadn't known until this consciousness in the light helped me answer from a very deep heart, vulnerable heart place, which was, oh, I was told by my loving parents together for 65 years, monogamously educated, healthy, even. I had nothing but love, no abuse. I was told we're all one under God, but you're special. You're different than others. And what they really meant wasn't the arrogance that you expect as much, although they have some of that without knowing about it. What they really were saying is you have been raised in such privilege that noblesse oblige, you have to give back. And you have a
Mm.
lot to offer, and you have to use it to serve, which is a much nicer way to deal with privilege. And yet, growing up in that caste, I didn't know how to communicate with anybody outside of it.
Hmm.
Now, I was always a nice guy. I was never a jerk. That's the way we were all raised in Minnesota to be Midwestern nice. But if I saw you on the street or met you even at a conference at that age, I would have been totally nice and polite, but not, I wouldn't have been able to go, wow, Angelo, I see you.
Hmm.
I can see and feel your essence and your spirit. They would have thought, what are you smoking? But now, I could do that the minute with everybody. I would have, I wouldn't have known how to bridge the different cultures from which we came and in which we were raised. Why didn't I ever learn how to do that? You learned how to do it, and you do all of it
Hmm.
when you meet a person like me. All of it. And I was aware of that. And I went, whoa, I have been lacking the ability to bridge across differences to connect at the heart level with anyone that wasn't in my tribe. And the voice said, there it is, Lewis, there's your work. And I was sent back down into the total automobile. I remember coming into the body
Hmm.
and went, whoa, there wasn't another word. What's going to happen? And I started to notice right away that instead of doors being opened by my privilege, doors started to open that I had nothing to do with. And it was actually not terrifying. It was a wonderful relief and release, both, that I could go, oh, what's in here for meeting a guy like Angelo? And I found out because the minute we met, I became open. Oh, what are we here for? It changed my life. So that's when I was driven to then use, I was chosen for this, not only because it was only my ignorance and ethnocentrism that was about which I was an expert and
Hmm.
still am, and how to recover from ethnocentrism in my own self-interest, not even for you. However, I was also chosen to now use all that privilege to serve all that left frontal lobe, all that Stanford MBA, all that education. So yeah, I raised all the money to start to to create those 33 diversity videos, the National Diversity Conference. This was all in the 80s and 90s from
Right.
what you were reading. With my global wife, I couldn't have done it alone. What can a guy like me do about that? And then we got all the diverse people, all of our employees. I was only one of two straight white men out of our first 25 employees, and about one of five out of 50 employees when we were in production. Wow, I really got it.
Hmm.
That to do these films well, we needed your opinion
Hmm.
and what you think it should say, in addition to my global wife, who had all the brilliance and consciousness to know what questions to ask and what to listen to. But I started to learn from every one of you. That's why the films were good, the workshops were good, the conference was good, and it just never stops. It never stops.
Let me ask you this, Louis, because I want to, probably will get back to some of the near-death stuff, but you're going to be doing an event for us on impermanence on, what is it, on January 24th, 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be in the show notes. What does your experience have to do with impermanence, if anything? Oh,
But uh,
you,
can you hear me
sorry, you
still?
sort of blanked out. Yes.
Okay, everything. It's almost as if, why did I need to get hit again a second time and a third time?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I would say I didn't need to, but I want to tell everybody what you already know, which is every single crisis you and I and each of us has ever had, as much as we wish it didn't happen and it was painful and it cost and it was physical or mental or psychological or we lost a family member or whatever it is, it is the doorway through which we gained the greatest learning we've ever had. So I am willing to smile at myself and say, yeah, I had to get hit pretty hard. to get it, you know? But at least I was brought back. Whereas a wonderful African American guy at one of my workshops about 10 years afterwards, when I finally was speaking the truth, he came up to me and said, Lewis, will you tell me how you got it? I just listened to your workshop and it's like, I never heard anything like that from a white man. And I told him, I just told all of you. And I just loved him immediately when he said, he went, oh, you mean that's all we have to do is kill all the white guys and bring them back? And we just hugged and smiled. I knew what he meant. And anyway, so yeah, so the reason impermanence became uh, a reality with which I am comfortable is not only the feeling of having lived before, but the feeling that living now, every moment, every moment, I have purpose, a feeling about what's here, what am I here for, what, and those moments that aren't great, I breathe and go, what's this one for? What can I learn here?
Mm.
Now, do I once in a while slip into the normal human body in which we all live? Of course I do. But anyone who loves me enough, like you did when you say, oh, I know how much you can talk. I, or my wife says, shh. It's, it's, it's love. Love is the biggest thing we all have. Now, this language doesn't have enough uses, different words for it, like other languages do. So when I say I see you, I mean at the soul level first, that you're open and available. And then I'm able to notice, wow, now share with me what's it like living in your life, in your body, in your experiences. What have you learned? And suddenly, we are 100% together.
Well,
And
here's the
it's
thing, a lot of us, you've had these experiences, which I will say they're just by listening to them, they're earth-shattering. Many of us, and I include myself in this sometimes, it's like I'm trying to hold on to something all the time, you know? I know intellectually that that's not a good strategy because it's going to change no matter what I do. So I think the
it's
notion of impermanence is a little unsettling for people, you
yes, it
know?
is.
So what do you say to somebody that, maybe their life is falling apart, maybe they're going through a divorce or something, and they're trying to hold on to what they have? What comfort what do you say to somebody like that?
I'll do the same thing. And I'll tell you the best learning that explains the answer to that, if what happened to me in the light, that if you haven't had that experience yourself, and I'm one who says you have, at some level, every one of you. Start with dreams if you've never had. There are lots of ways to have out of body consciousness and
Mm.
experiences that are strange, okay? It could be drugs. It could be trauma. It could be deep meditation. It could be purely, you call it spiritual. It could be you were visited by a deceased grandfather and you didn't know what to do with it. It could be you're alone in nature and you feel like you and the deer are connecting and you get out about whatever it is, you've all had one. And I hadn't had one.
Mm.
So it is kind of a joke that that's how hard I had to be taken out and said, Lewis, where are you? And so the first wonderful answer is we are all right here. And whether you like seven chakras, eight chakras, mind, body, spirit are different words for reason, spirituality, and even the deepest part of whatever religion raised you, because as we know, every religion fails at only at the point where they think their answer is the only answer and yours is wrong, because those are all the answers to something for which there is no answer known. Okay, that can be proven by science. So no judgment, but that spirituality starts with indigenous people
Mm.
with no religion. So we are all one with the land from which we come, with the air we breathe. We're connected to life. There's nothing we do which we can do alone. We think we can. So on that level, that's part of our oneness. The
Mm,
part that hangs on that we all do, let me call without judgment, our very natural, healthy human ego, which is I can do this. I mean, I'm
mm,
driving at 70 miles an hour, passing you, and you're 6 feet away.
mm,
And even in a two-lane highway at 60 or 50, whatever, it's astounding what we can do. And in those moments, we aren't being spiritual in our essence. We are using our intellect and our intelligence and our capacity, so of course we hang on to that. So what I've learned is to notice that
mm,
and use it when it's appropriate. I mean, literally, when we're all of us driving at 70 miles an hour and switching lanes, ooh, there's a lot of trust in one another. That has nothing to do with our melanin, our education, our looks, our gender. It's like, you better be staying in that lane and you better be, okay. So at those moments,
mm,
uh, yeah. And yet we actually always have access to the inner self. So to come back to answer your question in another different way, in my second near-death experience, the details of which don't matter. I've learned what's the greatest learning when I had 100 foot tall tree fall off the edge of the river when I was doing whitewater and crushed my skull, and virtually took away my left frontal lobe that had been so successful my whole life.
mm,
It's as if, oh, that's what we're going to do for Lewis now. We're going to take his left frontal lobe away. And it took 3 years of hospitalized brain injury recovery.
oh,
That
wow.
was that was Father's Day, June 15th, 97, up in Montana. But the biggest learning wasn't every day in 3 years of hospitalized brain injury recovery where I was regaining the ability to distinguish, to read, write, walk, and talk, and to distinguish the difference between a photo of a truck and the photo of a giraffe. I had to go through all of that regaining.
Mm,
The biggest learning was this, and this is what I want you all to feel, which is the answer to what it feels like when we're hanging on. Okay. And that is, for me, I grew up in Minnesota. I use the metaphor of a tornado. If you grew up with hurricanes, we're all correct. The center is totally still.
mm,
For some reason, I was trying to walk. This is in the first week of 3 years. I wasn't able to talk. I didn't know who you were. Now, when I say I don't want to use I, ego, human ego, thinking, intelligence. I want to use essence, spirit, M, call it what you will. I got in the center of the tornado. Okay. Whoa, my body isn't working. Everything about the body is part of the outside of the center. The organs, some were working, some weren't. My brain was what was not working. It wasn't able to make the body do other things that I would have to choose it to do. The lungs and heart were working fine. But that part of the brain wasn't. And I got, again, not with intelligence. I want you to feel the inner essence in deep meditation or prayer or whatever. Everything that's happening to this body and not happening, everything around me, all these people, everything around me is having issues and problems, politics, abuse, family, president, whatever. But here in the center of my body, call it in the chakras if you want, I am, like I learned in the light, 100% light and love and soul and spirit. I'm fine. Nothing can kill this. Nothing can kill this. No abuse touches this essence and soul. it made me so fine that every day, like nobody else in all this recovery, every day I was going, "Hmm, feels better to learn that. You're
Mm.
right, I don't know that." And I got better and better every day. And none of that was the power of positive thinking. Remember Vincent Peale? I got it. No, that's what we each are
Mm.
and have every second, and we have access to it. So, yes, when we're feeling pain of any kind, physical, mental, abuse, anger, everything, it's like, that's all true. At the core, I'm fine.
I'm thinking of something because I know a little bit about a lot of what your work is about now, and I'm making this connection between privilege. And I think it's very relevant to talk about in terms of what's going on right now in the world. As I see it, there's this, when we talk about wanting to hold on, you could say there's a group of people that are trying to hold on to something.
Exactly.
They're just trying their hardest. And eventually they probably won't succeed. But it seems very relevant to talk about privilege in the aspect of, and combine that with this word impermanence.
Thank you.
Because unless we do that, it's like there's something that can't really shift. And I think we're all trying to do that in a way as Americans. That's beyond being black and white. It's just as Americans.
That's right. That is really desperate. And the only good news, I mean, I am as so upset as anyone else who is upset. I mean, I believed so much in democracy. I went into politics twice. I wanted to go back to my state of Minnesota and be a senator, but I didn't like the ethics of politics. But everybody around the world who uses their privilege as power over
Mm,
is immediately causing the problem. For me, it's that simple. And I learned a simple thing in leadership training that really helped me, which is any moment that we are relating, and I can't do it without using these fingers and hands, any moment that our interaction has me above you
mm,
or you above me, because of what we know that the other doesn't know, because of our age or youth, because of our gender or the other, because of our melanin or more melanin or less, whatever. The minute we're coming from that place, there's less opening to our connection at the heart and soul level, a true equity, our oneness, and the gift of our differences, the ones, take what you can use and leave the rest, the gift of the differences that are gifts to us. Ignoring what your shirt is and my shirt is. That has to happen. And that's not happening the minute people of privilege and power abuse power. That's why leadership, true leadership, has to be to, to help enhance every single individual with whom I work. My employees, my associates, my clients, uh, anybody with wellness.
yeah.
It's a huge problem. So the only gift that's happening now that stuns all of us who loved our democracy, when you think that whoever won or lost won with 51 or 52, even though we wished we wished the one we voted for had won, just picture 100 people standing there and it's 51 and what? And we all believe in the democracy that it's still going to work. It's going to put up with the differences between us.
Mm,
And now it's being destroyed
mm,
by one individual who spends in it. If you can possibly love the soul and spirit of the boy who learned that his entire safety was required total dominance and
mm.
privilege over and power over and abuse over, and nobody else can have it. Oh my God. Thank God we're seeing moments of it working now just yesterday that at least the House said, yes, we can get our health back. For now we have 3 years to work on it through appropriate politics to say, how can we have a better healthcare system? And some of us want it to be like in Europe. We all have total free healthcare, and others of us don't want that. That's not what this podcast is about. But the question you asked is exactly it. Privilege needs to, all of us have different, you have some privileges I don't have. All of our privileges need to be used to serve us and others. When I say us, I don't mean us over. I mean, it's in my self-interest to have this be my relationship with everybody, not this or this. I benefit. We benefit together. Mm.
So
You've
on
just met the part of me that wants to run.
don't run for office, whatever you do. So on the 24th of this month, people are going to be coming to hear you help us get the wisdom of impermanence. If there is one thing you would want people to get out of that experience, what would it be?
That every single minute we are at the core, as I've just demonstrated, 100% light, love, spirit, and we are fine. And therefore, every moment is all we've got to just absolutely notice what's here, how we can contribute, how we can serve, how we can receive, how we can give love, how we can receive love. That's impermanent.
Mm.
That is permanent at the same time. Because the reason it's impermanent is, oh, that moment passed. I wish that marriage had worked. I wish I hadn't had that accident.
Mm.
I wish I hadn't just said the most embarrassing thing. I'm so sorry. That moment's passed.
Mm.
This is permanent.
Mm.
Oh, now that one's passed. This is permanent. So we simultaneously, just like our oneness and our uniqueness, simultaneously, our life is impermanent and permanent.
Yeah.
How's that?
That's beautiful. I mean, that's sort of the essence because it talks about the paradox. Yes, everything is changing, and yet there's this thing which is same. And you've been through it enough to know that that is true.
Only that. I just experienced in the past time we've been talking a new level of knowing you and being known by you. Right? Additionally new.
Mm.
Past has been fine. Thank you. The 24th is going to be wonderful. Let's all live. Be there.
Yeah. So I'm going to put some information in the show notes about Lewis and about this event. I hope you'll join us. And if you want to find out more about Lewis, he's got a wonderful website which says a little bit, doesn't tell you the whole thing, but tells you a lot about. I think is it lewisgriggs.com? Is it
No, just Griggs.com.
Griggs.com?
The email is lewis@griggs.com. The
Right.
website is just Griggs.com.
I just encourage anyone to who wants to, especially check out the TED Talk, The Gift of Near Death,
Which
and
isn't there. You have to go to my YouTube page.
oh, it's on YouTube.
There's a link from my website to get there.
Well,
But
I'll
my
put it in the
YouTube
show notes.
page,
Yeah,
Lewis Brown Griggs, has my all my TED Talks, my videos I made, it has everything.
yeah, and I will put well. That's the one. There's a lot there, but the one that I want to really recommend is the Wisdom of Near Death. And anyway, Lewis,
The
yeah,
gift of
the
near
gift
death.
of near. I said it wrong.
It's okay. They'll find it. And you know what? To go back to impermanence and permanence, some people prefer don't look me up at all. Just be there in that moment. And
Yeah.
other people, who have to say, "Oh, I don't dare be with this. I don't want to meet this guy until I find out if he's safe or what he is." So you just be you and either go look at it all or see you on the 24th.
All right, my friend. I'm looking forward to it. And
I am too. Thanks for being my friend.
oh, it's my pleasure.